Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Be On Sunday. And this week we are coming at you live from our Middletown campus. We're excited because we have Joey Silva in the house. What is going on, Joey?
So happy to be here, excited.
Yeah, how you been, buddy? How's everything?
I've been good. I think like a lot of us have been trying to figure out how to live and survive in this time and yet also like be excited. We're on like what? Almost month 2 and a half or something.
I honestly can't even count. I just feel like I will wake up and I said it's whatever day it is.
Yeah.
They all blend together.
So I feel like in the beginning of this whole thing, it was actually the first 2 days were awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like an adventure. My wife and I actually we were in Florida and then flew home like the day everything started to kind of freak out.
How were the airports during that time?
Honestly, it was fine.
Really?
I bet like the next day it was crazy.
No one's coming back to Connecticut.
No one's coming back to Connecticut. But the first few days it was like, this is an adventure, this is different. And then the first the next few days and weeks, it was tough. Like for me personally, not seeing people. I definitely am an introvert in the sense of like I refresh by myself, but I need to see people also. And so like week 3 of not seeing people, was tough. And then, you get into a routine of figuring things out. Thankful for nice weather, and there was a few weeks of like pure rain and my soul was struggling at times for sure. But yeah, today like driving my windows down was just enjoying the nice weather. So helpful.
It's awesome, and I always love when we come here and we do film the sermons and we film different things because you get a little bit of interaction. Although we're all staying safe, we're all doing our things, but we get to see people, and sometimes I just look back and I'm like, man, I just miss that interaction. I miss people and seeing different people and having conversations. It's like I'm talking to my dog, just making stuff up nowadays. It's crazy.
I know this past Sunday we did that. We had that cool video of like all these different singers and musicians, and it made me like, oh, I miss like the church. I miss gathering and just seeing people. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned that video. That was honestly one of the coolest things I think I've seen. And number one, I'm going to give a big shout out to our production team because putting that together, I know cannot be easy.
Hours.
I mean, how many people were in the video? Do you know?
I don't. I think it was like, 25-ish.
It had to be. Yeah. There was a lot of people. And I was watching it and I was just kind of sitting there in amazement because we've done something similar to that before and it was awesome. But then we upped the level and threw it. So if you guys haven't seen the video, I think it's out on social. Is it out on social media?
It's on YouTube.
Okay, it's on YouTube.
Yep, on our YouTube channel. It's The Graves in the Gardens and Reckless Love. Which, that song in itself, Graves in the Gardens, is one personally that like God has been using in my own time. Yeah. Just that idea of like he turns mourning into dancing. And so in a season where sadness has been close to me for sure at times, and yet I know that as I press into God, as I reflect on who he is, like joy comes. And so it was even, I found myself like my soul being joyful, watching all these different people playing and singing and going in and out. And so it's cool how a video can do that, can draw you in that way. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, it wasn't even just singers. We had a couple of drummers in there. We had, bass, we had the guitar. What was it like? Whose idea was it, number one? And what was it like executing something like that? Yeah. I mean, what are the things behind the scenes? How do you guys get timing down? I mean, can you walk me through that?
Yeah. So it was definitely a collaborative effort. Once this whole quarantine thing started, we had a team thinking, what are some creative things we can do in this time? And one thing that we really wanted to incorporate was some of our team. We're actually working on another few of these types of videos and including way more than 25 people, which would be awesome.
Oh, that would be crazy.
I'm
still waiting to audition here.
But yeah, and then we created kind of a structure for the song and a track, and sent it out to a bunch of people and some musicians and asked people to send in videos, and then kind of splice them all together. I'm not the one splicing. Our video guy Tim is put hours and hours of time of mixing audio and putting it all together. But the end product was awesome.
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, you have all these different people, and it's not like they all have professional equipment at their house.
Oh no, yeah.
So you're taking audio from iPhones or computers or wherever they're using. I didn't see anyone with a microphone. It was all just It was all just straight.
The power of an iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly.
And also, we actually like one thing that really worked well was we also captured like one of our Sunday morning sets, and
so that was the background track to that.
Okay, so we got to use the live drums and some other live vocals and stuff and mix it all in to make it feel warm and full and so.
Well, is there? I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Is there any? I mean, you mentioned you do have a 50-person. Something else that might come?
Yeah, I think me and a few of our, worship team members, we went through and I think we actually identified a ton of people because we really want to incorporate as many of our team as we can. Yeah. And so we're working on, a few more of these things, which would be great.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So jumping back into, and I know we talked a lot about the coronavirus in this podcast, whether it's from Justin and different, leaders from each of those different departments. But from your perspective, as being the worship leader, that what has the transition been like going from having this vast array of musicians, vast array of people, to all of a sudden worrying about social distancing, worrying about, putting together set lists, who can be available. I mean, a lot of the times we are recording at different times. It's not always like, hey, we're going to be here. It's Sunday morning. I mean, it's a little bit different. So what has that transition been like on your perspective?
Yeah, I think, any kind of team, you feel so close when you get to like work together on something. And so there's definitely this like missing team aspect. We had, over 100 people serving every week almost,
because the offices are closed.
Yeah. And so, in order to like really keep each other safe, trying to stay home. And yet trying to really incorporate a few ways through technology to still connect. And so in the very beginning of this, we turned into like emergency mode and created some ways to use Zoom to meet, every week. And one night we did a cool like songwriting time where, 40 or 50 people jumped in and we broke up into small groups. And that was honestly just super fun just to connect with people, especially in those first few weeks where like everything was unknown. Everyone was stuck at home. And then, as time went on, just trying to find ways to still connect. And so as a team, we try to meet, once a month. We're trying to create a rhythm of right after 8 a.m. service, jumping on Zoom and having communion together or some type of prayer. And I know that a lot of relationships are not, it's not 20 people at once, but it's one and two and three people connecting by themselves. And so we're also excited to do some auditions, via Zoom, because we are expectant, when we come back, we want to serve and continue to grow our team. And so we're going to do some Zoom auditions coming up.
I just ordered my auto-tune. So
there we go. There we go.
So that should be there. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool to hear, the songwriting process and what it takes and having all those people all chipping together at a song. I mean, just imagine what it's going to be like if all those people, when you guys sing a song on Sunday, they're like, man, I had a little bit of part of that. Yeah. That would be really cool.
And one of the other cool things about that time was also just to like connect with one another and like, let's read a passage of scripture, and try to articulate what God's speaking to us, and I think one of my big prayers in this season, has been we want to grow in our musicianship and we can't wait to connect and play again. But really, like as we're home alone, like God, would you continue to draw us closer to you? Would you continue to like make us hungry for you outside of our ability to play an instrument, which has kind of always been one of my prayers for our team is like, yes, we serve, but like above that, we follow Jesus and we follow him passionately, And so even now that we can't serve every week, man, how much more of our identity, needs to be in Jesus. So, so that songwriting time was awesome just to even get to like, let's grapple with this psalm and write some words out of it. So.
Absolutely. I mean, David's got a lot of good, he's got a lot of good starts right there. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and this is kind of as a church thing as a whole, people believe if I'm a Christian, I need to only do Christian things. I need to focus on reading this, listening to this, watching this. But, realistically, there are some outside influences that affect us every single day, whether it's negative or positive. There's all sorts of things out there. So the question that I want to ask you is, secular music. How do you feel about secular music in terms of as a whole? And has there been any secular music that you've listened to that actually kind of inspired you to be a better artist?
Yeah. Well, I think, that decision really has to be something that you decide yourself. I believe that you have the Holy Spirit to help you discern stuff. And so, we all have, you might have a different conviction than I do. I very much appreciate and love music outside of like the Christian genre. I grew up in a house with parents who like constantly was playing Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel and the boss. I know. So actually Bruce Springsteen, I still listen to him, and I think he's just an incredible musician. And I think that's one thing we can really get from looking at artists outside of, Christian genres, although there's some incredible musicians like within, worship music, but, looking at vocalists who are just insane, who are really, really good. And so, yeah, I definitely listen to, secular music as well as worship music. And right before we started, I was saying to you, sometimes I go through phases where it's like I am consuming a ton of worship music because I'm just in a season where I really need to, and then there's other times where I'm like, I'm driving in my car and I want to like listen to some pop radio, and so, my wife jokes around with me because she has like a very, she loves like the indie artists, which I also do too, but I also could totally, jam out to the radio, and she's like, turn that radio off.
You love that Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, Taylor Swift,
That's funny. So just adding on to that, what would be your favorite, say, secular song, and what's your favorite worship song not to sing, but actually, what would be... You could do two.
Yeah, favorite secular song is so hard because there's just so many. I think right now there's this... my sisters and I and my whole family actually, we totally follow the Grammys, and so what were the big ones, and so one artist that came up this past year was Maggie Rogers, and so she's like an indie singer songwriter, and so I do a lot of cooking at home on off time, and I feel like her album's always playing. So there's a song called Light On that I really like, just jamming out to. Awesome. There's another artist called Her, and she's just an insane electric player.
She plays guitar.
Electric, okay. And so that was another one kind of through checking out best new artists. I don't know a ton of her songs, but she's one of the I put her on the radio. And again, her electric and her voice is so good. So in terms of worship music, man, this is so hard too because I feel like every week it changes.
Every week it changes.
Maverick City, a lot of people have been talking about them and, really inspired by some of their words, and just the way that they incorporate lots of different genres and different styles. I'm also, I get inspired by Hillsong's vocal ability. Taya Smith's voice is really makes me want to be a better vocalist, and so As You Find Me, that song has been super, both with my soul, but also oh my gosh, how did he hit that note? I got to work on that. So
that's good. I'm a big country guy. I love country music. I listen to anything, but for some reason, I just love country music.
I can only do country music in the summer.
When you're sitting by a beach, you're like, oh, I'll listen to a little Zach Brown or something like that. And there's honestly one song that I love. My wife makes fun of me because I say it's Lauren Daigle's. It's actually Lauren Daigle.
Lauren Daigle,
I call it Lauren Daigle's. Peace Be Still. For some reason,
so good.
For some reason, I just think that's when she's singing that song, I just kind of get lost in the lyrics and the words. And I just love that song.
I love that.
Yeah, or some old school Hillsong. I always say that.
Kurt is always tagging me in My Redeemer Lives, which is a jam.
Yeah, that's right. Because I grew up on all. When all that, I feel like every church was playing those songs, and they just bring so much nostalgia, and I just miss all.
So good.
Yeah, so good. So I wanted to jump in a little bit about your role, because your role has recently changed from worship director, and now you've actually gotten a different role. So you are now the creative director. Am I right when I say that? Yeah, creative director. So what does that entail? What is the creative directors? Because you don't oversee just the worship team.
Yeah, we kind of combined worship and creative, and so our creative department includes graphic design and video. The way that we structure our lobbies, and and anything to really design. A lot of things actually flow right through it. It kind of becomes like the department. Any print material goes through it. And so we are already working a little closely, like worship and creative. But we, as things grew, just kind of putting them together, and
kind of meshed into one.
So I'm just helping kind of support the team, and help where are we going? What are the big needs that we have? Because it is one of those departments that's not a few people, but a lot of things flow through it, and so
and seeing the team when we were back in the office, seeing the team work, it seems like everything works pretty flawlessly. You guys have set up a system where everybody kind of knows their roles and responsibilities, and everything works pretty easily. So, being at the top of that kind of pyramid, what is it like working with some of these guys that are just super inspiring and super creative? I mean, I don't know if you have any examples, but what is working with a team like that?
Yeah. Well, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
Because Justin models it so well, like this like servant leadership, you know, and so I'm often talking to Tim or Casey or Madison, who are, a lot of our like creative designers and stuff. And I have no idea, maybe how to use Photoshop in that way. Yeah. But yet, like, I just love the ideas that flow out of them. I also really appreciate, our relationship and our friendships, growing in that team. And I think in a crazy way, quarantine has I feel like drawn us a little bit closer, just to like, now we're working on more unique projects with a really fast turnaround, and really always trying to answer this question, like, how can we like articulate the gospel through this image or through this video, or through this print material that we're trying to work on. And so, in my perspective, I have a huge appreciation for like the way that video turned out on Sunday. I remember texting Tim, like, Tim, not only are you like a master, but like God used you in like such an incredible way, to use technology, to draw people to him. Like, that's really our goal, not just to make something pretty or not just to make something look really cool, but really, God, how can you use this, this medium to like draw people to him? And so, it's very cool. We have, and again, just to reiterate the how awesome it is to work with people who are really centered on Jesus first, and then how that really overflows into how we create an image or create a video.
Because it is a different concept, because you look at a company as a whole, and we'll take the ministry side out of it. You look at a company, the company has rules, responsibilities, and things that they need to accomplish, deadlines, and then now we're taking all those pressures of being part of a fast-moving company, and now we're adding ministry in there, which is a little bit of a twist, because there is a certain grace that we need to have. There is a certain side of things that sometimes it's hard to mix those two things, because again, I feel from the side of thing that ministry is amazing, and the work that we do is awesome. But, to balance those things and be I'm not gonna say boss, but to be a leader, do you ever find like it's a tough position to put in, and I know it's a little bit of a tough question, because again, I'm not asking like for examples, but I'm just saying, like, do you ever struggle internally, going through being like, hey, I should have a little bit of extra grace, or do you find like, hey, it just comes naturally because the people I work with are fantastic?
Yeah, I think that, again, like one of our like, big beliefs is like relationship builds muscle. And so we really embrace like when, we have to talk about something that's a little difficult. We know what we believe in one another. And so yet it's a challenge. That might be a challenging thing to do. At the end of the day, like, we are for one another. We're on mission together, and I do think, I'm very much still in the very beginning stages of what it looks like to lead a team like this. And so just continuing to like, honestly, daily ask the Lord just for like, God, I need your grace, I need your wisdom in this. And then also, leaning on the people that I have around me who are ahead of me, and so with some of our other leaders and pastors, like, I need your help with this, and even within our team. Again, our team is fairly small, and so it feels, united and compact, which is probably a strength in this area of just, kind of working together, and we really, again, kind of this idea of how do we serve one another. And so that makes it less of a, I'm going to tell you what to do, and like, how can we work together on this project?
And this question stemmed from, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they actually mentioned to me, they're like, oh, it must be so hard to work in a ministry, because how are you going to yell at somebody, and how are you going to, tell them they're not doing right? And they just had a completely different, perception of what actually goes on. I mean, working at Vox is a fast moving train, because it is ever expanding and it is growing fast. But at the end of the day, I look at the people that work there, and it's everyone's works in unison. It's a great place to be. It's a fun place to be. I feel like everyone's always upbeat and happy, and I feel like it starts with our leadership. It starts, from Justin, and then it trickles down to, all the department heads from there. And if you think about it, I mean, that's almost how it has to be. And it's not like working. I mean, I've been at a different job. I've seen, where people hate to go to work, and it's just a lot different.
And I think like, we're also humans. And so there are days that are, tougher. And I've seen this modeled by a lot of our leaders, like quick to apologize, when, we did something a little dumb, or like that came out, the way that I articulated that wasn't honoring towards you, quick to apologize. And also like, kind of going back to like the idea of like relationship build muscle, I might say something that's a little difficult, but it's because I see more for you, or I see more for this project. And again, totally not at all even close to perfect, but trying to honor God and one another in that process.
Yeah, well, it's cool to get a little bit of an insight onto how it works, because people don't understand. They don't necessarily see the ins and outs. They just see the final product. This is church, this is what happens. Well, there's so much that goes into that. The creative side is doing all this, the technical side, how to actually get this stuff out there. I mean, it's trust me. Wild. Yeah, it's not, I mean, these guys work hard. It is. You think about it. We're taking church. We're sending it out to on a normal Sunday, not quarantine. We're sending it out to all these different locations live. We are coordinating bands. We're coordinating servant teams. We're coordinating all these different things, all packed into one Sunday, so that our members can enjoy their experience. And to think about that, it's like, oh yeah, I go to Middletown, it's great. Ryan is awesome. We go in, we see everyone, we say hi, but we don't necessarily think about all the other things that it takes to piece that together.
And I feel like, again, God uses things, uses a season like quarantine to like, one, help us grow, and also to highlight like, wow, how do we continue to resource our church? And so we're not, and a really cool example is like prayer team. I remember talking to Brew, our servant team director, and she's like, we're going to do Zoom prayer, and everyone's going to sign in, and they're going to go to their own little room. And I'm like, how cool is that? And like, so how can we, still be the church and also utilize like technology, and with the restrictions we have, still like serve one another.
Well, just think about it. The Wednesday night worship, or things that are Saturday worship, I'm sorry. We get to do things like that we weren't necessarily doing before. And it's cool. Your creative side can go in different things in different directions, but it's just really cool to see amongst this craziness and what other people may think as a negative time, that there is some positive coming out of it. There's some new things, and just some new ideas. Awesome. So one of the questions that I got while preparing for this is a personal question, so I hope you're okay with it. People want to know what it's like picking out your outfits for Sunday. They want to know the decisions that you make in order to pick out your outfits, because you are always looking fresh.
So comfort first.
Yeah, comfort first.
And then I'm always like, crap, did I wear this shirt last week? No, it's just, trying to find actually a funny story is when this whole thing started, there was in the first week of it, we were like, oh my gosh, we have to go. And it was right around the time, like we thought shelter in place was happening, or stay at home order, whatever the term was. And so we were like, we have to do 4 services in a row. And a bunch of the team was like, we only brought 1 shirt. So we're all wearing like different Vox shirts that we could find in Middletown. I'm wearing an outreach shirt, and then I'm wearing a kid's shirt. Funny. No, just trying to like, not, even on Sundays, pre-quarantine, as a Vox Music, we want to like be ourselves, so I want to be comfortable. I want to be myself, but I also don't want to be distracting, and so I'm going to leave my like, tux jacket at home.
Well, it's cool because, people get, and that's exactly what it is. People are themselves. They can kind of do their own thing. It's not so much where, hey guys, we're wearing a shirt and tie every day. I mean, I've been to churches like that and they sound great. They do great, but it's cool to see a refreshing, because that's how we live. I mean, we don't necessarily, we want to be relaxed, and I think it's a relaxed atmosphere. So one of the last questions that I want to ask you is, just songs in general, because being, on the worship team and being a part of this for so long, what is your favorite song to sing, say on a Sunday morning or during a Saturday morning worship set?
I think so. One, this changes, every so often. The way that we kind of do our sets is we really want our leaders, whoever's leading that set to craft what songs they're singing, or what songs are having other leaders sing based on like what they feel like, God's doing in them, God's doing in our church. And so, for me, 1 week, God can be like really using a song that either we wrote or that, another church or ministry wrote in my own time with God. And then it's like, I want to bring that, to our whole church. And so, cool. This past week, one song that has been like really in this quarantine time. You know, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was realizing I'm like a little bit stuck in like my own feelings, in my own stuff. Yeah. And so like I found myself praying, God, like open my heart and awake my heart to what you have. Yeah. And so this song, you know, Awake My Soul, which we did last Sunday, it's a Hillsong worship, is definitely one of my favorites right now. Kind of one, because of that idea, you know, of like, God, awake me to what you have. You know, I want to be awoken to that. And, you know, I was even reading probably a month ago, just reading through Acts, and there's a story of Paul who sees a guy who's lame, who can't walk. And he actually sees like the miracle happen before the guy, you know, and he says to the guy, your faith has already healed you, stand up, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, I want my soul to be awoken to that, my eyes to see like that. And so that's been something recently that God's been like speaking to me, and I've been wanting to grow in. And so that song in particular, you know, the bridge goes like, when he moves and when we pray, where stood a wall stands away. And so I just love like that, right? Even now I'm like, I have the greater faith. I want to see that. And so it's also like super fun to sing, and it's super fun, like the, you know, drums coming in, and so we're, you know, we're going to record in a little while, you know, another service, and we're doing that again. So.
Awesome. It's a fun one. I love being a part of the film team, filming that one. It's just creative and a lot of different things. Great. So I was hoping you were going to say shout to the Lord, but that's not where we're going.
I do, you know, Darlene Check, when I was little, that was playing in our house. It was Bruce Springsteen, and then it was Darlene Check.
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to make plugs here. Just trying to make plugs. But once again, Joey, we just want to thank you for coming on our podcast. Yeah. You know, we appreciate your insight, and you know, you're always an inspiration to different musicians and different people out there. So thanks so much. Again, if people are, you mentioned the auditions. If they're looking to audition, how would they go about that? Is there an email, or how do they set that up?
Yeah, so you know, we are, you know, it really just on our website. Okay. And so cool. If you go to voxchurch.org, there's a, you know, about us. I think it's under about us, or ministries. There's Vox Music. There's information there. You can also just email us at worship@voxchurch.org. Awesome. And we'll, you know, help you get connected.
Awesome. I'm going to do one a day until.
Perfect.
So Joey, thanks again. We appreciate you
so much, Kurt.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.